The EU has taken unprecedented and immediate action against Russia since it began its invasion of Ukraine. Russian aircraft have been banned from its airspace, and it plans to ban state-owned media outlets such as Russia Today and Sputnik. Well, for more on the EU response, I'm joined by José Manuel Barroso, the former president of the European Commission. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. You were president of the European Commission in 2014 during the conflict in eastern Ukraine, and you spoke to President Putin about this on a number of occasions, and reportedly during one call, he told you he believed that Russia could take Kyiv in just 2 weeks. Did you expect things to escalate to the point that they're now at?
Frankly, not. It's true that he said that to me at that moment, but he said it trying to show that they were not involved in Crimea. They said, President Putin told me during one of our phone calls in 2014 that these were just Russian citizens that were in Crimea to help their brothers or their friends on the other side of the border. But that was not the Russian army, because if it was the Russian army, you will tell me they could take Kiev if they want. Now, what we see is, in fact, that there was already an idea about taking Kiev, taking Ukraine. And this is, of course, something that we could not imagine. In a civilized world, in the 21st century, to have such a big country like Russia, the second, let's say, military power in the world, taking a smaller democratic nation by force, changing the border, trying to change the borders. I mean, it's simply unacceptable. It's against all the principles of the international law and of even civilized behavior.
And at that time, you spoke out about Europe's response to that conflict, and you said that Europe was divided. Does the response this time around that we're seeing from the European Union go far enough? What should the EU be doing?
Well, I think the European Union has shown once again that when there is a crisis, that provokes the European Union going forward. And I'm very, very proud of the positions the European Union has been taking, because in fact it shows great level of convergence and unity. Even some governments that we could expect to be closer to the current regime in Moscow took a very, very brave position. So not only in economic terms, but in political and diplomatic terms, and also some taboos were broken. And this is extremely important. So, and in fact, that reflects the public opinion in our countries. I think it's important that in Russia, people understand that in the rest of Europe, no one can understand this position. No one will accept this. And by the way, it's not only in Europe. We have seen in the Security Council of the United Nations, even the closest allies of Russia, they have not supported Russia. They have abstained, but not a single vote in favor of the Russian position. So this will have a very heavy price for Russia. And I believe it's not good, because it's, first of all, a tragedy for Ukraine. But I always saw Russia also as part of the European civilization. We may have differences with Russia. Of course we have, and very serious ones. But that's not the reason to transform Russia in an enemy. I think we should come by negotiation to some agreements. But now it's a very dark moment, first of all for Ukrainian and Ukrainian people, but also for all Europe, including, I think it's a very bad moment for Russia. And I think it was a completely wrong decision, this one, of invading a sovereign, independent country, fully recognized by the United Nations, as it is the case of Ukraine.
In light of that terrible situation that Ukraine now finds itself in, President Zelensky called today to the European Union to fast-track membership into the EU. I mean, does this now change, this Russian aggression, change the way that the EU should look at incorporating former Soviet states who want to join, faced with Russian aggression?
I heard today President von der Leyen of the European Commission saying that she feels that Ukraine is one of ours. And in fact, I'm no doubt that the European Union would like to integrate as much as possible and as soon as possible Ukraine as one of its members. The question is how to do it. Of course, to become a member of the European Union has some conditions. And by the way, we should not forget that all these problems, in fact, started not because Ukraine was going to join NATO. let's be honest about this. Everybody knows that Ukraine is not going to join NATO. There was no sufficient support for that. But in fact, what apparently President Putin does not want is a Ukraine that is more European, that wants the European way of life, that wants, in fact, to be closer to open societies, open economies. That's the point. Let's not forget that what happened in 2014, it was not because of NATO. It was because Ukrainians wanted an association agreement, not even membership. It was just an association agreement between Ukraine and European Union. And when the government at that time, the president, rejected that, there was Maidan demonstrations, and then as a response, there was the invasion of Crimea and the annexation of Crimea. So at the end, this is an issue about letting or not a people decide which way it wants to go. And if the Ukrainians want to be closer to the European Union, I think they have that right. Now, we have to see how to achieve that goal, and I believe it's in fact achievable. I think that's the way to go forward. In fact, we have seen that association agreement, in spite of all the resistance, was approved and is now in force. And in fact, there are already many areas of cooperation between the European Union and Ukraine. But of course, I think it will be justified if the European Union states that, in fact, supports fully that aspiration of Ukraine joining when it's ready, and when we will be ready, joining the European Union.